Hello, everyone. Welcome to Draft Dreams, an Inside the Birds presentation profiling NFL draft prospects chasing their big dreams. I'm your host, Andrew DiCecco from InsideTheBirds.com, and with me today, a defensive end from William and Mary, Nate Lynn, who's been kind enough to spend some time talking with me today. Nate, how you doing today, man?
Oh, I can't complain. I can't complain at all. How about yourself?
I'm doing great. Nate, we are just inside of a couple weeks now until the NFL draft. What's it been like for you?
It's been amazing. Being a small school guy, having the blessing and the opportunity to have some sort of eyes on me, and be on a couple radars is amazing. I'm just living the dream every day.
What's the interest been like at this point? I assume that there's been some buzz as we get closer to draft weekend.
I haven't had any prospect visits as far as that goes, but I'm having a lot of meetings, Zoom meetings with teams, coaches, position coaches, stuff like that. So this walking through what needs to be done, especially after my pro day.
What do you feel you learned about yourself throughout this process, Nate?
Um, well, something that was always pretty important to me was consistency. And going through this process kind of just reassured that. Because there's a lot of moments where things kind of pop up at you fast, and it's either you did the work or you didn't. You know what I mean? And those are the moments that you really can trust the work that you put in. Sometimes you kind of just blindly follow the process because it's something that you're committed to, something you love. When you get to those toss up moments, it's 50-50 moments, put up or shut up. When you have that confidence, because you've been working, it means the world. So just setting a good platform for yourself when it's time to actually do what you need to do is something I'm learning through this.
Well, you obviously put in the work, and you mentioned your pro day. When was the pro day exactly? And did you accomplish everything that you set out to?
My pro day was March 21st, I believe, and I did. I set out. I hit all the goals that I was looking to do. Because I had went away for training for about 10 weeks. And I set my goals before I went. And I was able to hit all of them actually and supersede a couple of them.
Oh, excellent. Where did you train for that?
I was down in Boca Raton, Florida. It's called Game Face Training. That's where I was at.
I thought you were going to say XPE with Tony Villani.
No, sir.
So why don't we rewind back a little bit here, Nate, and talk about your whole process that led you to William and Mary. What schools were you choosing between, and what made that the right choice for you?
Um, it was between a couple of CAA schools, William and Mary, Richmond, not Richmond, Elon, um, and then some like D2s, HBCU schools like Fayetteville State, North Carolina Central, they're Division 1 now. They're great football program. But that was really it. I wasn't really the highest recruited kid out of high school. So being able to go to William and Mary and kind of get the best of both worlds that they offer. It is a very rigorous academic school. And I accepted that challenge. I come from a academic family. So it was the opportunities outside of football. And Mike London, he's a head coach that's very personable. He talked to me and my family. Um, he believed in me the most. That's kind of what I went with.
Do you carry a chip on your shoulder at all, knowing that you were unfairly under recruited a little bit?
I did, coming through college, but now we're here. The chip on your shoulder, it's amazing, but sometimes that gets heavy, and there's a lot of other things to focus on. Um, so I understand that it was real, but I feel no ways about it because I still got my opportunity, and once you get your opportunity, it's about living in your blessing. And I believe I did that to the fullest extent. So to live in the past on high school recruiting is what it is.
For you, Nate, what was the biggest challenge when you got to the college level? Was it getting your weight up to a certain level that you wanted to? Was it learning how to become a technically proficient pass rusher? What was it for you?
It was really the so I when I came into college, I was I had just turned 17 my freshman year because I was a gifted kid. I tested out of a grade growing up. So I'd always been year or two younger than everybody. So my birthday's in July. I reported to camp August 1st. I had just turned 17. So the biggest learning curve for me is like, oh, you're telling me this guy's 23 years old? Ooh, what am I going to do there? You know what I mean? So just being able to build that confidence in my ability to know that I'm here and I'm ready to do what I need to do. And I played my freshman year too. I didn't redshirt. I got about 30, 35 snaps a game. I was like the nickel rusher. But I was heavier. I was probably about like 280, all baby fat, coming out of high school. But the biggest thing was building that confidence. That confidence is everything. But that, like I said, that confidence comes with consistency. So over time, as I just, head down, even through COVID, staying through the process, working out every day, and being able to see the fruits of that labor, just helped build that confidence as much as I needed.
Yeah, it's tough to have that kind of confidence as a young player coming into that kind of program. What gave you that assurance that you were ready to take that leap?
Just the only times you really have before the season, obviously, is practice to figure all that out. And the intensity you approach practice with can help you build that confidence, not just walking through the motions in practice, treating this like game day, mentally, emotionally, physically, with what you do, how you think, how you approach it. And that lets you get a lot more reps in at full game speed so that you can build that confidence. Because, the people across from me are Division I players just like everybody else. Being good at football is the baseline to get in the door, So you can treat this how it needs to be. And we had a really good offensive line that year. We've always had really good offensive linemen. Uh, but being able to get that work consistently, and I had two all-conference guys and two captains in my room when I came in. So it was I wouldn't say easy because nothing was inherently easy, but they helped walk me through it. I had great leaders, great mentors, along with my D-line coach as well.
And what did you learn from those mentors? Because this season you were a team captain, and it was you that everyone was looking to.
Um, I learned that relationships are important. Acknowledging people, uh, being able to connect with somebody so that you can lead them properly. You can't ignore somebody through the week and then come up on Saturday, game day, yelling in their face, asking for 100%. There's no connection. This guy don't know you as a person. He don't trust you. He just know you're a good football player. So to have that connection with everybody and really caring about who's on your team, talking to folks, even if it's just a hi and bye, acknowledging people. Um, just that little bit of extra allows people to resonate with what you say. And it's not just going to go one ear out the other. It's going to be received how you want it to, because they know you care about it. They're not just
Genuine,
looking at somebody in a helmet. You're looking at a person.
genuine.
Mhm.
So I understand you have a pretty interesting story as to how you initially figured out how to combat bigger offensive linemen going into college. Could you elaborate and share that with us?
Yeah. So, like I said, I was always way younger than everybody. Um, so, well, I grew up in Chicago. So when we were living in Chicago, I was playing like youth football, and I'm be honest, I was a kid. I think I was like 10 or 11, but I was playing like 14U, right? So I didn't know what to do out there. I was scared, I was shook, and I think the coach had told my mom like he's good, but he's scared to hit the bigger lineman. Like he don't think he can do it. And I didn't. I'm 3, 4 years younger than these kids. I'm like, what the heck is going on? So my mom, who is my biggest fan, biggest supporter in every way, superwoman to the most. She got an old rolling chair, like an old desk chair, and she sat in it. And we took it outside, and I pushed that thing up and down the alley. She's like, "You can push an adult; these kids is nothing." And that was kind of the beginning of understanding what confidence does to the body. Understanding what doing something at an exaggerated level allows you to do when it's actually game time. Because I went back to go play football and it's nothing. I just pushed an adult in a rolling chair up a gravel alley. And it wasn't about how hard it was. It was more about having the confidence to know that you can do this. Um, and I thank her every day for things like that, because that's just one of the thousands of things she's done in my life to allow me to be where I'm at now. But yeah, that's funny. We talk about that a lot in the house. That was a great moment.
So would you, obviously your mother is your why.
Everybody, it takes a village. That's real big. But my nucleus is really my mom, my little sister, my grandmother, and my older cousin. They all live in Charlotte. My aunt lives down here too. So it's kind of a real small nucleus, but those are my people. That's my why.
Something that really resonates and jumps off the tape when you watch, especially as you've gotten older, your power, your hand usage, but also your pass rush repertoire that you've added the different elements to your game. How did you go about adding those different moves? And did it come natural, or like what was the progression like for you?
That's part of that was part of just keeping the work to work. The more you do something, the more comfortable it becomes, the more like muscle memory it becomes, and the more you can recall that intense moments. Um, and being able to build my pass rush acumen is something that, like I said, I talk about a lot with my position coach, because I understand how much that can change a game. I think it's like 60 some% of drives with a sack. That's the end of the drive, no matter what down it is. So that's a 7, 9 yard loss. People don't, that throws you way off schedule. And that's a game changing play whenever you can get it. And nevertheless, if you can get the ball out too, strip sacks, it's a whole nother thing. Um, but to build that acumen, it wasn't just the work that I put in at school. It was over time, because I do have some people that I work with. It's really just one guy. His name's Dan. He lives in Charlotte. He's my trainer down here, but we're always him, my D-line coach, always bouncing stuff back and forth and watching a lot of film, studying pros, studying their footwork, studying their handwork, studying the timing, situational awareness. All of this stuff plays into whether or not you can get that sack and whether or not this move is going to work. So knowing how to and when to apply what you need to apply, it really is a lot more tedious than it seems. A lot of times people think DNs just go run through somebody, but a clean sack is only 5 to 7 steps max. After everything after that, you're chasing somebody. You got 5 steps to beat this guy that has 80 pounds on you and is also a top tier athlete himself. So every little detail has to be focused on. Every step matters. And just, folks blocking in on that and being prepared throughout the week.
How about the power, Nate? You about 260 you weigh, right? And you're completely disarming with your striking. You're disarming some big linemen and just putting them on their backside and getting to the quarterback with some ferocity. How did you develop that area of your game?
Weight room, weight room, committing to the weight room, committing to working out. Uh, and no, like I said, situational awareness. I know that if I can get a guy not knowing what I'm doing, I could probably go through him. If I can get you guessing one way or another, you're off balance. You give me your chest, I'm taking it. And a lot of times I call that testing your temp. I'll come test your temperature. A lot of times when you see it on film, that's a first quarter, second quarter thing. Like, I'm coming out the gate. Because if you don't want to deal with that, I'm going to make you deal with that. And if this is not something you ready for, then all right, let's go, let's suit up. And in the second that you sit down too hard to try to stop that, now I have another avenue. It all builds off of each other, and knowing what I've done through the game, what he's uncomfortable with, not just rushing just to rush, and taking the information I get from his set, um, putting it all together and knowing what to do.
If you could always send one tape to a scout, which game would you send them? And what does that showcase about your overall game?
Um, if I could send one from this year, it would be that's a hard question. It would be well, obviously I'll give you two, but one of them has a caveat. Obviously the UVA game,
Hmm.
just because the stature of that program's Power Five school, that competition level will always be coveted. Um,
8 tackles, I think you had a sack.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And but I'd say Maine is probably a game I would, because that was a very, very tenacious game for me. Very, very, very powerful game for me, just with everything, all circumstances around it. It was one of the games my grandmother was able to make it to, because my grandmother's not able to make it to every game. She was able to make it to that one, and I had a little bit extra for that game, and it was a real good game for me. I think I ended up with 2 sacks, close to 10 tackles.
Wow. Yeah, that's definitely special. You and John Pius were the bookends there, and you guys really played off each other well. Can you describe the chemistry between you guys and how you were in tune with one another?
Yeah, I call him my rush brother. That I know I keep talking about it, but confidence is everything. Um, and that's a whole nother level of confidence to know that, all right, if y'all got too much attention on me, there's somebody over there that's gonna get to it. And that's kind of how the league is. That's kind of how the NFL is, because like I said, being good at football is the baseline. Everybody's elite. Now obviously there's some that are even above that. They put in the work to get there. At the baseline where we're at right now, everybody's elite. So to have that experience in college, to know like, all right, somebody's gonna get home. And our DBs used to be so mad at us, like they would genuinely be mad at us, because it's like, all right, if it's either a quick pass or he's not getting this ball off clean. And it was pretty consistent with that. And that healthy competition of like, all right, I'm gonna beat you. And it's cool because that's somebody else to even bounce ideas off of, right? So if I go to the second quarter and the whole game we've been on the left hash, so because we played field and boundary, the whole game I've just been on one side. Now, halftime ball flips. Now I got to see this other tackle. I haven't seen him for 2 quarters, but he has. And he has the pass rush acumen to tell me what he's been seeing, what this tackle's uncomfortable with. And having that second mind out there was amazing. And that's, like I said, that's like a brother of mine. Like I said, that connection. Um, Me and him have been close since he got there. He's a year younger than me. He transferred out now. I believe he's at Wisconsin now.
Hmm.
And yeah, it was all a blessing. It was all a blessing to have that type of support out there. Somebody that I knew was going to be going 110 miles per hour, just like me.
Nate, was there a play or a moment in your career that signaled to you that the NFL was a legitimate possibility?
Um, yes, yes. It was in my first season as a starter. Um, what was it, 2021? We were playing Towson, and that game they had 3 sacks, 2 strip sacks, and one of them was a straight up sack. I just came around the corner, but I hit dude. His helmet went flying, and I don't have the picture here, but his helmet went flying, and it was funny. I picked up the helmet and held it up, and there's a picture of it, and it was funny, but in that moment, it was kind of like, okay, this is real. Because after that, everything kind of steamrolled, and it wasn't really a moment. It was more of the season. Because when you're playing, it's game to game, so there's not really much time to reflect on your stats. I know, like, I had 2 sacks. That's impactful. But we got another game next week, so kind of got to move on. But after that 2021 season, I definitely knew that was something that was really very, very a viable option for me. It was always something that I wanted to do. But being at William and Mary, you got to focus on what's in front of you. You got to focus on trying to get on the field as a college athlete before you start trying to think about NFL dreams. So that was the first step, to get on the field young enough to have enough film.
So you were a microbiology major, if I'm correct on that.
I was when
You
I graduated with a degree in anthropology.
So what's the backstory there? That's very interesting. I took a cultural anthropology class in college.
Well, the backstory, for me, if I could get a job at well, my main goal would be the African American History Museum in DC. If I could get a job there, would be amazing. But I want to be a museum curator. Um, just because often African American people don't get to control the narrative, don't get to tell their story or their side of the story. So to be able to go through a college like William and Mary and garner the degree and open that avenue for myself and be able to, go into that is something that's very important to me. Um, and being in Williamsburg is kind of hard to not become a history buff. It's a colonial. It's kind of hard to not fall in love with it. But I took a couple classes. I took a cultural anthropology. Obviously, I took a whole bunch of them, but like my freshman year, I took a couple. And then over COVID, I had some online courses and I really fell in love with the subject matter. So that's kind of how I walked into that.
Now we have a lot of things in common. You are I'm a music guy, and I know that you played piano and trumpet. Now I never played instruments. I'm a big music guy, but you also like documentaries and enjoy reading. So first of all, how did you get into the piano and trumpet? And what age did you discover your passion for
Well, it didn't, I will be honest, it didn't start with passion. I started playing the piano when I was probably about 6 or 7. Um, and played the piano for I can still play it now, but obviously not consistently. But I played it consistently till I was probably about 12, or yeah, probably about 12. And then that's probably about the time I picked up the trumpet. And I played band. I was in the band. My freshman year of high school, I was in the band playing football and in the marching band. It was pretty funny.
it? Yeah.
Uh, but that's just something that my mom was always really keen on. And it was good because the musical outlet is very, very helpful. Um, but I did fall in love with it. Yeah, I did fall in love with it. I love creating. Uh, Being able to have some sort of musical talent is always helpful. Um, but yeah, that was kind of something I just found a skill as, once I got thrown into it and stuck with it. So
Do you still play the piano? I imagine that takes the
yeah,
edge off a little bit.
we still have a big piano sitting in the living room. I play it sometimes, but it's real loud. So
So how about documentaries? I'm a big true crime documentary. I'll watch pretty much any one. I go HBO Max, Amazon Prime, Netflix. What's some of your go-to documentaries, and what's on your list?
um I do like true crime. I do like true crime, but I can't do gore. So that there's a thin line there. I'm a big sports documentary guy. A big 30 for 30,
Hmm.
30 for 30 guy. All-time favorite of mine is The Last Dance. It's probably one of the best
Oh yeah.
documentaries I've seen. Now, they're coming out. Everybody has their own story about how that was written and all that. But hey, it was good production. And that's all I'm here for. So uh I'm a big sports documentary guy. I like to because I watch a lot of sports. I watch pretty much every sport. So whenever they drop something like that and I can see the backstory behind something that I saw happen, it's always amazing. I'm sitting there like a little kid smiling at the TV. So
How about books? I know you're an avid reader, as am I. Biographies, autobiographies. What's your cup of tea?
um a little bit of both. I used to read a lot of nonfiction. That used to kind of be my thing of choice. Through college, being, forced to read however many pages a day, I kind of fell out with it. And a lot of my reading started pivoting more towards becoming an adult, yeah, figuring out life, figuring out how to maneuver and create a schedule that is conducive of what I want to do, which is being a professional, um, not rushing my life, things like that. Just trying to, figure my way. So that's kind of where most of my reading is now.
Have you given any thought, Nate, to what it's going to feel like for you when you get the phone call and figure out where your career is going to take you next?
He's gonna be amazing. It's gonna be amazing. I know it's a quick turnaround, but I can only imagine that moment is surreal. Uh, to pick up that phone call, there's probably gonna be some tears. There's no shame in that. We
Yeah.
put in a lot, dedicated 16 years of my life now. I've been playing football since I was 5 years old. So that it's gonna be surreal. I think there'll be no better feeling, but I do understand that it's right back to work after that.
I always like to end with this question. How will you be spending draft weekend?
Here, here in the living room, me, my family, my mom. My mom's gonna make some custom shirts. And
Nice.
I'll be sitting here chilling, watching the draft. We actually watch the draft every year. When I was a kid, I think my eighth grade year, the draft was actually in Chicago. So I got to be at the draft before. I've got a shirt hanging up that I've never even wore. It's from that when we actually went to the draft, and it was the coolest thing ever. Um, but to experience that here with my family, I'm a projected later guy, so just even to experience that is going to be amazing. We're going to be right here chilling.
Now, I'm a draft junkie myself. So when the draft was actually here in Philly in 2017, there was nothing cooler than that.
Yeah, it's an amazing experience, right? Really one of a kind.
Absolutely. Well, that's going to do it for this episode of Draft Dreams. For Nate Lynn, I'm Andrew DiCecco. Thanks for tuning in, everyone.